Yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating to see what plays out here, certainly over the next 3 or 4 years. As you guys project toward this fall, um, what do you think is reasonable, Steve, in regards to what should be expected out of this team?
I think this is a team that's going for a third place Big 12 finish. And it feels like I don't really see them in the Big 12 championship game. Iowa State has so much talent returning to the team. You still have Brock Purdy and Breece Hall there running the offense, and Mike Rose, their star outside linebacker, on defense. I think Iowa State still has a lot of talent, but I don't think they're a shoo-in for the Big 12 title game necessarily. But Oklahoma is. That's the annual Oklahoma Classic, is the Big 12 title game that they have in Arlington. But then there's some other good teams. I like what I saw from what we're going to see, the future of Oklahoma State really in the Cheez It Bowl. They had a lot of opt-outs and guys that played hurt, like Tylan Wallace and Chuba Hubbard may be gone from the program, but I think they have a lot of skill position players that can fill that void. And Mike Gundy never really has a down year. I can't remember the last time Oklahoma State finished with a losing record. So I think this is going to be really a 3-team race for that. And you could even throw West Virginia there just because I think Neil Brown's helped grow that program pretty well. But I think it's going to be mainly Oklahoma versus Iowa State, Texas, or Oklahoma State for that second spot. So I think Texas could really expect 8-4, 9-3 in the regular season and try to be in contention for that game.
Yeah, definitely, man. So, I'm thinking 9-3, maybe 10-2. Texas just has too much talent. If it all comes together here with the coaching, Texas shouldn't lose no more than 2 games this year. Like, this is Texas. We have all the talent. Finally, we got coaches here who are going to coach, coaches here who have coached at big time schools, coaches who have coached, basically like in the league, so we have a coach who came here from a championship pedigree, didn't have a actual head coaching job prior to here, to where he had to bring his whole staff with him, right? So he was able to go cherry pick guys that he wanted. So he didn't have to bring in the guys at Houston that helped him get this job. So Steve, Sark basically got the flood. He got Banks. He got Davis, he got Terry Joseph. I mean, he's assembled a staff here that I think is going to be able to coach better than the previous staffs have. And I think Texas can finish around 9-3, 10-2, and hopefully be paying, basically in that Big 12 championship game this year.
You said about the hires. I think Kwiatkowski is my favorite of the hires.
Oh, man.
I see what his defenses did at Washington. They had a top 5 defense, I think, 2 or 3 years running, just from 2016 through 18, back when they were in 3 straight New Year's Six Bowls. It was really the defense that was always elevating that unit. And we were talking about that we want to see player development at Texas. Look at what they had at Washington. Look at all the defensive backs that were drafted in the first 2 rounds while Kwiatkowski was at Washington. You have Marcus Peters. You have Sidney Jones. You have
Buda Baker.
Buda Baker. These guys are talented NFL players. They're all first and second round picks. So when you're seeing Texas, I know it looks a little better this year with Samuel Cosme and Joseph Asai, but recently Texas has been kind of coming up empty-handed, or more empty-handed than they should be on draft day. So I think that Kwiatkowski could go a long way in just developing players at defense, because he had monstrous defensive lines and a lot of good blanket secondary players in Washington. And that's something that I think Texas needs to look forward to under his reign as a defensive coordinator.
Definitely. And especially like on the D-line also. He had one season. He had 3 guys that all got drafted. He had Qualls, he had Gaines, and he had Vita Vea. I mean, he gets those guys there, guys that, some teams didn't even want, and he brings them there. He cultivates them, and he gets those guys to be draft picks. So he is going to be a guy who's going to actually coach these guys up and have these guys be to where they need to be. I'm with you on that, Steve.
We're a long way from National Signing Day in December. Right now, we've got 6 hard commits. We've got the second-ranked class in the Big 12. Again, it's very early, top 10 in the nation at number 8. Nick, any rumblings out there in regards to any particular possible commits coming Texas's way in the near future? Any big targets you want to run down for us?
My big target, the guy who I want Texas to get, is Campbell, the big offensive guard out of Bowie, Texas. He's a hell of a player. He's a 5-star guy. He's probably, if you had a draft board, he would be like your number 1 guy. He's just a straight freak of nature, 6'4", 320-pound guy who can run like the wind blows. Also, just a nasty guy. So, I would love to have him. Who else, man? Coleman. Coleman is a wide receiver, and he's out of St. Louis, Missouri. Another good guy who actually wants to come and play with Murphy, who's our quarterback guy, right? So, if we can just start getting talent here, that especially just on like the lines and things of that nature, I think Texas can get to exactly where it needs to be. How about you, Steve?
I'm not sure about really prospect commits, but the ones that they already have, I've been really impressed on the highlight tape of Jatavion Sanders, just because he's a guy who plays offense and defense, which is something that we saw. I think Steve Sarkisian was at Washington maybe at the same time as Will Dissly, who played offense, defense at tight end and defensive.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So I'm wondering how that could really be implemented to Texas's team and see how he could go from there when he plays, because I think that's a fascinating dynamic that he has to offer. And his highlight reel is insane. If you
sick. He has a bunch of one-handed catches, man. It's ridiculous. That's a big boy, man.
I have wanted to pull together a Texas live stream for a long time, so much appreciation here to Nick Battle and to Steve Helwick. I want to let you guys let people know where they can find you, whether that be on Twitter, social media, or here on YouTube. So you first up, Nick.
Hey, everything is just Nino's Corner. It's just one word. Just go find it every Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the same word, Nino's Corner, right? Yeah, that's it.
And I'm on Twitter at S_Helwick, or just type my name, Steve Helwick. I'm the only Steve Helwick out there. And you'll find a lot of just general college football coverage. I follow all 130 teams, tweeting about all of them on Saturdays and stuff. So any college football fans, you're welcome to join.
I got to tell you guys that people marvel at me sometimes in regards to what I'm talking about, how much information stuffed into my head. And then I get Steve on here. We talk about every school in the group of five, and it's just, and I know he's covering all the Power Five teams. He can talk about all of them too. And I can't even cover the group of five. I bring in Steve to get a set up on the group of five as well. And I just can't believe all the information that he's got locked up that he's ready to discuss. So we appreciate Steve coming on here on a regular basis. And Nick joined me for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and we had a great conversation, and he's a wealth of insight into Texas football. So we would encourage you to head on over again to Nino's Corner right here on YouTube. Guys, I had a great time. Again, I've wanted to throw together a Texas live stream for quite a long time. It was a great discussion. Would love to have you back.
All right. Thanks, man. Anytime.
Sounds good. Thanks for having us.